Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining us today for the bonus edition of your online coffee break. Today I'd like to welcome to the show my special guest, Erin Dooley. Erin is an award-winning screenwriter and filmmaker who made her debut as director of the Christian musical film Broken and Beautiful. Erin has since founded Dash Entertainment and has produced 2 feature films, numerous short films, a comedy web series, and a feature documentary. As a speaker and published author, Erin travels around the United States with her documentary, A Way to Forgiveness, giving talks on the importance on how to forgive.
Online coffee break.
Thanks for joining me today, Erin. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, your film, A Way to Forgiveness, I really enjoyed this film. It touched me personally. I'd like, though, for our audience who hasn't seen it or perhaps haven't heard of it, can you explain sort of the big picture view of what it's about?
Yeah, I walked the Camino de Santiago, which is a religious pilgrimage in Spain, and I was walking for myself. I'd wanted to walk for about 15 years, and the opportunity came. And since I'm a filmmaker, I figured I should bring my camera to track my journey going across the world. So I brought my camera along, interviewed people about forgiveness, and when I came home, just put it all together. And so it documents my journey trying to achieve forgiveness as I walked, and got some wisdoms from some fellow pilgrims along the way.
See, I think that was fascinating. What really touched me, though, is unfortunately, the common thread that we do share is that I had went through a divorce about 16 years ago, and I'm sure you can relate. It's you've got to let go of just the bitterness and all the hurt feelings in there, and I think that's just so fascinating. That's what led you on this journey. Tell me what that was like as you're going along. What was it like sharing your story? Because again, it's very personal, but here you are documenting it too, which that's hard. But I'd love to hear more about the people you met along the way. If you could give an example or two.
Yeah, since I did bring my camera, I wasn't still 100% sure, even as I was filming, if it would ever actually become a film. I thought, well, at the minimum, it'll be like a video diary for myself, which I think is why it is so personal, because I don't leave much out. Because again, I didn't know, maybe it's just going to be for me. Mm-hmm. But it was that was my full intent on walking that Camino, was to heal. It was difficult. When I originally bought my ticket, the divorce was supposed to be finalized by then, mm-hmm. but as it turned out, it lasted longer. And so I was still married while I was on the Camino. It was a different experience than what I had hoped to have. But mm-hmm. I still got a lot out of it, and met people from, all different countries. And again, just like so much wisdom from all of them. And I actually had to change my dates from when I first booked it. So I always think, I was meant to meet the people that I met, because had I gone with my plan, I would have never met these people. But then, something came up. I had to actually move up my dates by 2 weeks. And so, got to meet all these wonderful people. And a lot of people ask if I'm still in touch with them. And I am Facebook friends with everybody that's in the movie. And I've still, if I've traveled to places where some of them are, or vice versa, I've seen a couple of them in the years since the Camino. So it's definitely, the Camino is a very special experience, where if people ever went to summer camp as a kid, I always joke that it's like summer camp on steroids. Like
right.
Because in camp, you become such fast friends, and such intense friendships form.
Right.
When you think about it, you're like, I was only there for a few weeks. Same with the Camino. I was only there for 40 days, but because of the nature of what you're doing, and for me, what I was going through, and that it was such an intense part of my life, that it forged some, really deep bonds and friendships that it's okay if we don't talk, every day or anything, but mm-hmm. they just hold a special place in my heart.
See, and that's what really, I guess, touched me too, is that here you are on this journey, and you're really opening up, and you have the kind strangers. They're sharing, they're talking to you, they're giving the wisdom. I thought that just elevated, in my opinion, the human race way up there, because sometimes we just need to hear the stories about the kindness of a stranger. Mm-hmm. And I love how they did that. But one thing I thought was amazing is when you started this journey, for the folks who don't know, it's 550 miles and it took you 40 days. So did you set at the beginning saying, I'm going to forgive by the end of this period? Having such a deadline like that, were you worried about that deadline?
Um, I I guess I was when it kept going on, because even that morning when I was walking to the place where there's this huge iron cross, in that moment, um, I had been preparing for it. I still wasn't 100% sure if I was going to forgive. I ended up writing a note, and I knew that I was going to write this note, but as I was writing it, my brain was saying to write, I will forgive this, and I listed everything I was forgiving, but I still, like, bodily didn't, like, in my brain, I didn't think I was forgiving, but my hand wrote, I forgive, like, in the present tense. And it was such a strange and beautiful experience to have something take over in me and just say, no, you're there, you have arrived. And one of the people that I met, she sort of bookends the movie. We met at the beginning, and then we met again at the end of it. And she saw that transformation because she wasn't with me during the middle portion. And she does, vocalize that concern that I probably never vocalized myself, because I was too worried to even say it out loud. Like, oh, what if it doesn't happen? I guess I didn't allow myself to think that, because then
right.
I would have let that be an option, I guess. I sort of didn't have, like, failure was not an option to me. So.
See, that was so powerful too, because I know exactly who you're talking about, and I remember how I thought it was so neat how you reconnected. It's almost like God gave you those few weeks off,
yeah,
and then reconnecting you just so you could evolve that much further. Now, let's talk about forgiveness itself. There's a lot of us, we go through, and like when I went through my divorce, I wish I could have said I was completely over the forgiveness in 40 days. But it took a little bit longer for me. But I can tell you, as I'm sure you're aware, once you do forgive, it's so freeing. You just get rid of all those emotions that are so heavy when we carry those. What was some of the wisdom that you gained from the others when they said why it's important to forgive?
I think it's definitely, physically, I felt like a weight was lifted off of me.
Right.
And then emotionally, so there were those benefits that happened. And I think every time when I rewatch it, I still gain wisdom from these people. You hear something one time and it strikes you in one way, and then you hear it again, you're in a different part of your life, and then it strikes you differently. And so I do think the parts that really hit me every time I see it are from the breakfast scene, where there was like 4 of us sitting around.
Right.
And I don't think it actually made it into the film, but the one gentleman says that every morning he just wakes up and he preemptively forgives everybody he's going to meet.
Wow.
Because it's like, people are going to, tick me off today. I just know that is, human nature. And his nature, maybe he's easily aggravated. I don't know. But he just said, I will preemptively forgive them so that it'll be easier to let it roll off my shoulders. And that always, I think, I've tried to adopt that. And even if things come up later, which they have, either with my former husband or just other ways that people have hurt me that have sort of triggered that same response, to remember that, and to kind of wear forgiveness as this cloak is something I often say, but just to hold on to that. And I had a picture of what I wrote in that one moment, and I kept that as my phone's screensaver. So every time, as my lock screen, to remind myself, because it is something that's difficult to achieve. It's not our human nature, really. It's not this knee-jerk reaction. And so it is a decision. And that's something that I definitely tell people all the time. It's that choice, because we are meant to live in better communion with people. And a big part of that is forgiveness, because we are really good at hurting each other. And so we have to get really good at forgiving each other. And so it has to be a choice. And so for me, because, my faith is a strong part of me, I know that God's going to honor that. And he did honor that I was ready to do what he was calling in forgiving. And so he will bring you to that point. You just have to, let time pass. And 40-day deadline was silly of me to do. But if it had taken longer for me, then it's still, God would have gotten me there. He
Right.
still gets me there with other things.
I believe
So
that
think,
too.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that was
yeah, time
ordained.
and decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and very inspirational too. What would you expect? I guess just the average viewer, your audience, after viewing your film, what would you want them to take away?
Um, I think just the desire to really forgive and to look at their life, what they have to forgive, or to maybe own up to something that they've done,
Hmm.
and maybe you think, wow, I don't think that should have hurt that person, but you know what? If it did, it did. And so if you can swallow your pride and apologize that it hurt somebody, that could go a really long way with somebody. And I really hope that people can see past, don't just think, oh, it's a lady who went through a divorce, if that's not your experience, that you won't get anything. Because I have had people in audiences, they've never been married, but they have a problem with their father or sibling, and they're able to see past that relationship dynamic I was dealing with and see the universal truths of forgiveness through that. So I'm really glad for that. And I've seen people have called from the parking lot to apologize to people after seeing the film.
Wow.
So I know that God is using it in some really meaningful ways and touching people and helping open people's eyes to forgiveness. And really that's all, because it's like, I already went through the pain, so if it can be a blessing to somebody else, then that's really all. I don't get anything out of pouring my heart to people time after time, beside hoping that they are going to be blessed and helped by it.
Right. Now, Erin, if someone wants to find out more about the film or you, where should they go? How can they find out more?
Yeah, my company is called Dash Entertainment, DASH. So it's dashentertainmentllc.com.
Mm-hmm.
So they can watch the film. And I do travel with the film. And I go to churches or schools, whoever is interested in having me, and I talk about how to forgive. I have there's 4 simple steps to forgiveness. I always joke, you didn't know it was that easy, did you? It's
No.
4 simple steps.
Only 4.
So people can bring me in, show the film. The film itself is 45 minutes, and then I give a 25-minute talk. But people can also rent it online, or they can buy a DVD, and that's all at the website, dashentertainmentllc.com.
Excellent. Well, I want to switch gears because you have another film that I think is really good. I haven't seen this one yet, but it's called Broken and Beautiful. And what I understand is it's an award-winning Christian musical, and it has fantastic music by Amy Grant, Toby Mac, Third Day. Can you tell us more about that film?
Yeah, I definitely love Christian music. I listen to it a ton, and so it's chock full. There's 24 songs in it, and it weaves different stories. People, they all go to the same church, and they're all dealing with different struggles like infidelity or addiction, and how do people of faith deal with it? Because we're not immune to these struggles and these temptations. Right. So how do you deal with it? And you sing about it. That's how you deal with these things. You break out into song.
Is it that easy?
It's that easy. See, I can boil things down. It's very simple. But it uses contemporary Christian music, songs that are on the radio, and it weaves these stories together. And there is the theme of forgiveness and mercy, that, just because you're broken, that's the whole theme, since even if we're all broken, we're still beautiful to God, and we can bring our brokenness to him, and we can help each other in our brokenness and help restore a little bit, and forgive each other and show each other mercy and grace, and help us all, get closer to God and to forgive ourselves. And it's got a really great soundtrack of some amazing songs, and that's who is on my website. Yeah.
Okay. Well, these two are fascinating, but what's next for you? What's coming up in the future for you? Anything you can talk about?
I'm just writing right now. I'm writing some films and some TV pilots, then trying to get that out there, focusing more on the writing aspect than the producing. Just working hard, getting some new stories on paper.
Well, excellent. Well, if you're writing anything like these movies, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And I just want to thank you for just taking time to join us today to share your story. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Erin.
And thank you for having me again.
Oh, my pleasure.
Online coffee break.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation today with Erin. Hope you did too. If you'd like to find out more about her and her movies, just visit her website, dashentertainmentllc.com. want to thank Erin for joining us today. I want to thank you for joining us today as well. If you'd like to comment on today's topic, just go to our website, onlinecoffeebreak.com, or give us a call at 317-862-4700. We'd also love it if you'd follow us on Instagram at Online Coffee Break. Also, we'd appreciate it if you'd share this episode with your friends or rate us on iTunes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful holiday season. God bless.